everybody. The fact you started this video means you understand the importance of staying up to date on skill trends and lifelong learning. My name is Katerina Bozhkova. I'm business development partner at Upwork, and today I have the honor to talk to our very special guest, Shelley Osborne, Vice President of Learning at Udemy, the world's largest online learning marketplace. With over 15 years of experience across education, consulting, and corporate sectors, Shelley leads Udemy learning strategy and continuous upskilling of employees globally. Shelley is also the author of the Upskilling Imperative, a regular speaker at global industry events, and an expert on numerous world publications, including the Wall Street Journal, CNBC, Fast Company, Inc., and more. Welcome, Shelley, and thank you for joining us today.
Gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to have this conversation and to talk about what lifelong learning and upskilling means for your community. So just a huge thank you for having me here today.
We are very excited too. So let me ask you the first question. Having worked with many independent professionals, I have seen firsthand how having this growth mindset help freelancers actually to stay competitive in the digital age. But making this lifelong learning a habit is a real challenge. So I know that one of the Udemy's core company values is always learning.
Yeah.
Sounds really interesting. Can you share a little bit more? What does it mean to you?
Absolutely. Always learning is such an important value at Udemy because we really believe in the importance of a growth mindset. You know, today it isn't enough to do a little bit of schooling, to finish a college degree or a certification once and kind of call it quits and be like, oh, I'm done. I'm set for life. It's so much more important for us to see ourselves as lifelong learners, to recognize that we really do have to build this ability to learn and constantly be picking up new skills. And I know, talking to this community today of professionals and freelancers, that's what those folks do. It's how they approach their jobs and their work. But it's important that we all see ourselves that way, that we kind of reject this notion that we're ever done learning.
That's a great point. We also heard from many top professionals on Upwork's work marketplace that keeping up to date with their skill set is actually critical as they are growing their businesses. Maybe you have any tips for freelancers, how they can cultivate a learning for life mindset and how they can stay motivated, because it's very easy to lose it.
Oh gosh, it really is. It's easy to lose that motivation all the time, but I think especially right now as we're kind of faced with a lot of change and challenges. But I think it's important for people to see themselves as a learner first. You know, I think often we describe ourselves by profession or by a skill that we have. And that has a bit of an expiration date on it because our professions change and evolve and adapt. So when we describe ourselves as learners, we're really adapting what I consider to be a growth mindset. And it's so important for us to do that. Also, for all of us, it's important that we recognize we're all going to stumble. We're all going to have challenges. We're all going to maybe have something we didn't do perfectly. Maybe somebody might call it a failure. That's not how I like to see it. It's so important for us to embrace those as learnings and as opportunities to grow and to develop. We get to see that as a way to figure out what we could do next time or what we could have done differently. It's so critical that we do that. You know, one tactical way that we also try to develop this learner mindset or this growth mindset at Udemy, the company I work at, is a program we call Deal Hour. Drop everything, learn. And I know that for professionals and freelancers, it can be really difficult to set aside time for your own development because you feel like you need to be on the clock and working on whatever project or whatever work you've been given. But it's so important to set aside that time to learn. At Udemy, we put that on the calendar. It's an hour a month to learn a new skill, to develop. And I would really encourage all professionals, all freelancers to do the same. It might feel like you're stepping away or to the side of the work you're supposed to be doing, but it's really what propels you forward and what helps you prepare for that next project or get even a little bit better at the thing you're doing right now. So setting your own deal hours on your calendar, booking some time that's really set on your schedule, not something you'll get to eventually, is really, really, really important. And I highly recommend it for everyone.
Wow, I really like this idea. It sounds really motivational.
I hope it is. I really do.
Okay, and let's dive a little bit deeper into some specific skills data, because that's also something that could really help. For instance, at Upwork, we regularly look at skill data and trends. And I know that in a recent Udemy report, your company looked at skills that are important for the future. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah.
The insights from this report specifically.
For sure. Yeah, we did a real deep dive into emerging trends. Udemy for Business did this, and the variety of skill sets that were really emerging and becoming important on the platform that we were seeing a lot of people accessing and needing. And I think there's a couple things that are really great takeaways for freelancers and professionals. I think it's really useful to know that more and more data literacy skills, things like data visualization and data manipulation, are becoming big, big trends, skills that are needed in all kinds of roles. Historically, we used to think that understanding data was sort of for like a subset of folks, that it was really important for anybody who's a data scientist or maybe folks who are in engineering. That's actually becoming important for all kinds of roles and might be a nice differentiator in your own skill set as you're looking at finding projects or folks who are looking at your resume. I think another thing that's really, really important is to recognize that the hard skills are always important and we need to continue to develop, and we always need to be updating those. But soft skills are extremely important. They really make a big, big difference. So we can talk a bit about those if you'd like. I think we can dive in a little deeper on what those mean as well.
Yeah, I just was about to say that everything you said about the skills, data, and trends, these are very valuable insights. But as you mentioned it, and in addition to everything, I totally agree that hard skills and competencies is really good to have, but soft skills are even more important sometimes. So what are those important from your perspective?
My opinion has always been that the road to professional success is paved with soft skills. It's so necessary to have those technical skills, but we won't get there if we don't have the ability to negotiate or the ability to present well, if we don't know how to manage conflict resolution. Gosh, I know that there can be challenges as a freelancer to really negotiate or have a difficult conversation with a customer or a client. Those are things that are really, really needed, and they're needed no matter what kind of work you do. I think the other thing that's really, really important about this is we've seen in the shift to remote work that these soft skills have become even more apparent and more obvious. Things like collaboration are more important than they've ever been before. We all know it's easier when we're in the office together or when we're in a physical space. So doubling down on your ability to partner, your ability to collaborate is super, super helpful. And I think too, and this might seem unexpected, but the our own ability to manage our well-being and think about how we're doing personally, self-care, all of that stuff really matters. And it's an imperative today to be successful. So it's also important for us all to take time to develop that ability to be thinking about our wellness and focusing on things like maybe it's meditation or mindfulness, maybe it's time management, all these kinds of things that really support us in what's been a really difficult and challenging time. And then productivity. I'm sure you're feeling the same as me. It can be really difficult, right? When you're stuck at home, when you don't get to interact with folks in different ways. So I would recommend folks think about diving into how they can be more effective with their time, how they can kind of keep their creativity going. I know that that is such an important and necessary skill for any freelancer. That's a big part of what everyone does. So focusing on how you can continue to refine your creative muscles and be productive during such a challenging time is key.
I totally agree with everything you've just said. And maybe just to add to that, we also asked our top-rated community about the most important soft skills for them, where they feel this direct impact on the success of their business. And as I said, everything you shared, it's just a must-have background for a success. But what they also mentioned is written business communication, what was very interesting.
Oh, right.
Self-presentation, just +1 to what you said, and client relationship management that help their businesses to grow. That's, yeah. Keeping in mind what we've discussed today, what would you say is the absolute most important skill for 2021?
Well, I get this question a lot. I mean, for years, I've been getting this question. What's the next hot skill? What's the next thing? What do I need to know now? And what that's taught me more than anything is how often that skill changes and it evolves and it becomes something totally different. So what I like to tell people, and I think it's so important, is that the most important skill you can have is the ability to learn. So to be a learner, to see yourself as someone who develops that growth mindset, who faces opportunities and challenges through a lens of learning and develops your own learning agility muscle. One thing that I like to do myself with my husband and with my team is really do some focused thinking about what have I learned before that's becoming relevant? What am I learning right now? So if you're working on a project, what are you learning? What's new? What's happening? And then think a little bit about what you need to learn next and start to connect those dots. And just by asking yourself those questions pretty regularly, as often as you want or as often as you can, you start to develop this mindset of yourself as a learner and to connect dots and opportunities together for skill development. I think this is so critical because if anything, COVID-19, 2020 has taught us all that we need to be prepared for change. And that's really difficult to do. That preparedness isn't exclusive to this period of time, though. It's not just about a pandemic. The world is changing, technology is changing, and the more we develop that skill and the ability to thrive in it and learn through it, the more we're able to get to the other side.
Yeah, nothing to add here. I just want to say thank you for this insightful conversation. And for every conversation I have ever had, for every event that I attended, I have such tradition to identify and pick up at least 3 takeaways. From our conversation, honestly, it's really hard to pick up 3, but I will do my best to probably list those 3 that stood out for me from our talk. So definitely do more to lay that groundwork for unexpected change, what you've just said. The second one is make lifetime learning your habit. That's a challenge, but we have to do it. And the third one is my favorite, is drop everything and learn. So I really love your tradition at Udemy, and if you don't mind, I will borrow it for my work, for work with my team, because it's awesome. It's really awesome.
I would love
Thanks
for you
again.
to take it. Please, please do drop everything and learn with your team at anywhere. I hope everyone puts a drop everything and learn on their calendar and their schedule. It would make my heart so happy.
Thank you. Thank you, Shelley. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been just such a fun conversation, and I just appreciate the invite. Thank you.
Thank you. We had Shelley Osborne, VP of Learning at Udemy.